What if I told you that Baby Evie, the newest member of Peppa Pig's family, might not just be a cheerful little cartoon piglet, but a haunting tribute to a real child with a tragic past? Now, before we dive in, remember, this is a theory. It hasn't been confirmed by the show's creators, but once you line up the eerie similarities, the story feels less like coincidence and more like a hidden connection. So let's unravel the heartbreaking theory behind the real Baby Evie. Stick with me to the end, because the final detail is the one that will shock you the most. Cartoons may look colorful and simple, but the truth is they often pull from reality. Walt Disney based Mickey on his own pet mouse. Winnie the Pooh came from a boy's stuffed toy. Even darker tales sometimes slip through. Folklore, rumors, and tragedies twisted into child-friendly stories. That's why so many fans believe Peppa Pig's Evie wasn't just a random idea. Instead, they think she was inspired by a little girl named Evie Perry, born during one of the darkest times in history, the London Blitz. But how much of this theory holds up? To understand, we have to step back into 1941, a year when the world was burning. Imagine London not as a busy, modern city, but as a war zone. Sirens wailing, planes overhead, the ground shaking from falling bombs. Families crammed into underground shelters, wondering if their homes would even exist when they came out again. For the Perry family, tragedy struck when their house was destroyed in one of those bombings. Homeless, scared, and clinging to survival, they moved into a crowded shelter. The mother was heavily pregnant, forced to carry her baby in a place meant for survival, not life. Now pause for a moment. In Peppa Pig, when Mummy Pig is expecting, it's all joy. The family prepares a bigger home, a new car, and a warm welcome. But in the theory of the real Evie, her beginning couldn't have been more opposite. And the cruelest twist? Her very first day would be shadowed by death. When the time came, Evie's mother went into labor inside that shelter. Imagine the scene: crying children, dripping ceilings, the distant rumble of bombs. No doctor, no clean sheets, no help. Evie survived, but her mother didn't. For the family, it was devastation. Do you celebrate a new life, or mourn the one that was just lost? That impossible tension haunted the family, and instead of welcoming the baby as a blessing, some siblings began to see her as the reason their world had fallen apart, and that resentment would only grow stronger. Here's where the theory gets even stranger. In the story, Evie's father, Stephen Perry, was a hard-working engineer, a detail fans compare to Daddy Pig, who is often shown doing technical work. The Perry children didn't match Peppa Pig's family exactly. Evie had 4 siblings: Penny, 2 unnamed sisters, and Joffrey, the youngest boy before her. That's more than the Pig family, which only has 2 children, Peppa and George. But here's the eerie part: Joffrey adored ducks, not dinosaurs like George. Ducks. He carried a rubber duck with him everywhere. And before he passed away from illness in the shelter, he gave that duck to his baby sister. Now think about Peppa Pig. Ducks are a running gag in the series, always popping up in playful scenes. Could that detail have been inspired by Joffrey's duck? Some fans believe it might be more than coincidence, but while the cartoon turned ducks into a silly, cheerful motif, the real story, if true, ended far darker. But Evie's presence only deepened the rift in the family. Penny, bitter and grieving, convinced herself that their father had let Joffrey die so he could save medicine for Evie. Whether true or not, it poisoned her thoughts. The sisters whispered in corners, casting glances at the young girl playing with her duck. To them, Evie wasn't a sister, she was a curse, the reason their mother was gone, the reason their brother had suffered. And one night, that resentment turned into something far worse. According to the theory, Penny and her sisters led Evie out of the shelter one night. Imagine it, a child no older than 6, skipping along with her sisters, unaware of the danger. They walked through bombed-out streets, crumbling buildings still smoldering from raids, until they reached a lake. At first, it seemed like a game. The sisters laughed with Evie, pointed to the ducks swimming across the water. Her eyes lit up with joy, the first time she had ever seen real ducks, not just the toy in her hands. But the joy didn't last. Penny urged her closer to the water. Evie crouched, reaching for the ripples, her duck clutched tightly in one hand, and then she slipped. The water swallowed her small frame. The sisters didn't move. They just watched. and then they turned and walked away. By morning, Stephen realized his daughter was gone. When he found her lifeless by the lake, something inside him broke. His grief turned to rage. In a frenzy, he lashed out at his surviving daughters. By the time he came to his senses, it was too late. He had destroyed what remained of his family, and in shock, he walked to the authorities and confessed. Newspapers carried the story briefly, labeling it a tragic case of a family destroyed from within. But as the war raged on, the world forgot. Decades later, fans point to Evie Pig and see more than coincidence. A hard-working father, siblings with faint echoes of Penny and Joffrey, a girl tied to the motif of ducks. In Peppa Pig, Evie is happy. She's loved. She has the safety and laughter the real girl never had. Could it be that the creators gave her the ending she was denied in reality? Or is it all just eerie fan speculation? So, was young Evie simply a cheerful addition to the Pig family? Or was she a hidden tribute to a forgotten child of wartime London? The truth is, this remains only a theory. Nothing has been confirmed. But once you know it, it's hard to watch those silly ducks without thinking of the little girl who once held on to one like it was her whole world. What do you think? Eerie coincidence or hidden tribute? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more dark theories behind the shows you thought you knew.